Hi, so glad to see you. Thanks for having me for lunch. This is Lunch with Laura. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be talking about when you're still going through your divorce, some of the unexpected expenses that can come up that you may not be aware of or that may have been mentioned in your initial consultation with your attorney, but you've got so much going on and sometimes we just need a reminder. So we're just going to be talking about those things today. For example, one kind of unexpected expense is if there is a dispute or a disagreement about how much your house may be worth, you may have to get an expert to help you to evaluate your house. And a lot of times, sometimes if you have a friend who's a realtor, they'll be able to help you to do that. But if there's a real, if both sides have kind of dug their heels in, then you might have to have someone do an actual appraisal of your home. But depending on where you live in the country, it could range anywhere from, $300 to $600. But there are some online tools that you might be aware of that'll really help you get a good idea of how much your house is worth or what the fair market value, that's the kind of the term that they use, what's the fair market value of your house. And sometimes, if you go to realtor.com, that'll give you a good idea. There's also another website called Zillow, that's Z as in zebra, ILLOW.com, and that also gives you statistics about, school districts, and how they rank and what the sales were in your area in the last 6 months, and houses that are comparable to yours, things of that nature that are kind of help you. So if you can avoid hiring someone to do an appraisal of your house, that's really great. So, if you can come to an agreement that way, it's really the best way. The second thing is if there is a real battle concerning custody in your divorce case, or even if you're having a custody case after your divorce, that could really be an expense depending on where you live in the country. Sometimes judges will automatically say, okay, if there's a dispute about custody, we have to have an expert come in and give a recommendation to the court. And sometimes, depending on where you live, sometimes that's called a home study. Sometimes that's called a custody evaluation. It's called different things, but basically what it is you have someone who's a licensed social worker who comes in and does an investigation of your living environment. So they'll come in, they'll come visit your house. If the kids are old enough, they'll talk to the kids. If not, then they might go to school and talk to the teachers at the school. They might interview neighbors. They might interview people who take care of child care. So they might go to your kids' daycare center. So they do all of that. And, they come back and they write up a report and a recommendation as to what's in the child's best interest, which parent should they live with. And so, some people, some clients, they get a little bit confused and they say, if this expert was appointed by the court, then I thought that they get paid through the court system. That's how they get paid. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, they are appointed to your case, but unfortunately, usually the fees are split between the two of you. So I want to make sure that you are aware that can be a possibility. And depending on where you live in the country, the fees for that can really range. And sometimes it also depends on, what the allegations are. If there's really some serious allegations going on, then there might be more people that they have to investigate, more things that they have to do to come to a connection. Okay, there we go. There might be more things that they have to do, so, that might also affect their fee that helps it to go up. So, it could be, $1,000 split between the two of you or up, so it really just depends on where you live. Another situation where you can run into some expenses for experts is if you are really set on proving that your soon-to-be ex-spouse did something. Now, what do I mean by that? I have some, folks who come to me and say, I really want to, I know my husband or my wife is cheating. It's usually a woman that's coming to talk to me. I know my husband's cheating, and I want to be able to prove it. And so if you want to hire an investigator, some people do, but if you want to hire an investigator, usually their hourly fee is, somewhere around $75 to $100, depending on, again, where you live in the country. And, if they have to do, put boots on the ground and follow your ex around for, goodness knows how long, then that could really ramp up the cost of your case. Now, obviously, you can say if you're hiring an investigator, hey, I only want you to do, 4 hours worth of work. And if you're not able to find out anything by that, then okay, fine. So you can put a cap on it, and, control the expense that way, but, it can rack up. The second thing, I'm sorry, and also another thing kind of along those lines is if you're in the middle of divorce and you have a family business and you can't agree on what the business is worth, sometimes you have to do what's called a business valuation. You have to have an expert come in. It's a special type of accountant that does that type of work. There's certain certifications for that, for accountants to be able to do that type of work. And so, usually, I know here in the Dallas area, the lowest that I've seen that they'll take is $5,000 retainer. So, and a lot of places, it's $15,000, $20,000 to evaluate a business. So, if you can come to an agreement, do that. But sometimes that's hard. If you have, if you own a, retail store where you're selling, clothes for teenagers, let's say, then how much your inventory is worth and, how much, the cost for the racks to put it on and all that stuff. That's easy. It's the businesses that are a little bit harder to evaluate, like, say, for example, if your husband is a dentist and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's his business worth? Because a lot of it is his reputation as a dentist. That weighs heavily on the value of the business. And lots of places you can't, that's not divisible. It's something that goes with your ex. So just know that, it can be those types of expenses that come up in your cases that you may not always have on your radar, but you should really try to budget and plan for if you really can't come to an agreement. And sometimes too, there are, again, different websites that you can go to kind of give you at least a ballpark idea. So that way, at least, if you have a decent place to start and say, okay, I know this is something that's reasonable, I'm not being ripped off, then absolutely do that, because, getting experts involved can be really, really costly. Because not only do you pay for them to do a report, then you have to also pay for them to testify in your case, because they don't just, submit the report and disappear. They have to be open to being examined by your attorney and cross-examined by your husband's attorney, and also they have to be available for the judge, so the judge can ask them questions. So no, you're paying for them to do the actual report, and then you also have to pay for them to come and testify. So just know, if you can come to an agreement on these things, that's always the best thing for your emotions and your pocketbook. Okay? So I hope that you find that helpful today. I will be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow and for Lunch with Laura. And I hope that you guys continue to have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your lunch. Take care.